Hi, welcome to this week's episode of JD 10-Year Transformation. This week's episode is coming to you back in New Jersey. I'm sorry it's coming to you a little bit later in the week on Thursday. Normally I like to post on Mondays, but I was traveling last weekend. I went down to do some fishing with my son in Florida and spend Memorial Day weekend with him. So I didn't want to skip the week. I wanted to make sure I got an episode in, so I'm recording a little bit later in the week than I normally do. Last week, the last episode was done on the road, and it was kind of just thrown together because I wanted to get back into the routine of recording every week. So I apologize if it wasn't really, didn't really dig into a lot of the topic of routine that I wanted to discuss. One of my birds just flew by, scared the life out of me. We may have bird visitors throughout the recording. We're at the heart of, now it's beginning of June, so we have a lot of birds visiting the feeder every day, and I thought you guys would like seeing them, so I'm recording right in front of them. Hopefully some of them come and visit. We got a couple of squirrels also that have made their way to living here, which is kind of weird. But anyway, when I get back to the point of the video, this week's episode is going to focus on getting your nutrition in order and making your health a priority. As I mentioned very early on, there's three-prong approach to this 10-year transformation. It was getting your financial house in order. Second one was making sure your relationships are in good order. And third was making sure that your health is a priority. And the health really is at the cornerstone of everything else. Without a good foundation of health, you really can't do anything else. It affects everything. If you're focusing on you just generally speaking, without belaboring the point, generally speaking, if you don't feel good, it's hard to get anything else really together. So really having your health in order is at the core of a 10-year transformation. So getting back to the original point of this video, so I've worked out my whole life, been working out consistently since I'm a teenager. I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I've fluctuated. I had reached pretty much my absolute heaviest back during the pandemic. I was still working out during the pandemic, but the gym was closed and I was just eating more. I think everyone was eating more. Even though I eat a healthy diet, I was eating more of it, too much of it, and too little activity. So I packed on some weight. I got up to about 215. So I'm just about 5'5". It seems like I'm getting shorter as I get older, but I'm about 5'5", and 215 is a lot of weight to carry around for 5'5". Also, if you read some of my writing, and I think I alluded to it in some of my earlier videos, I have a double hip replacement that had to be done because of a genetic disease I was born with. So when I had met with the doctor back, 10 years ago for a checkup, or rather 7 years ago for a checkup, it was a five-year checkup at that time. I had asked him what was the number one thing I could do to make sure that my hips lasted as long as possible, and he had said that keeping your weight in check was probably the single biggest thing I could do to impact that. So it was always very in the back of my mind, if not in the forefront of my mind, that I had to make sure that I managed a healthy weight. So like I said, I did. I've always exercised. I've never really gone an extended stretch without exercising. So it was unusual that I was gaining this weight. And I met with a guy in the gym. We were just chit-chatting one morning, and he had mentioned to me, he's like, nutrition. He was a trainer, and he had mentioned that nutrition was really at the cornerstone of any kind of health program that you're on. Without the proper nutrition, it was difficult to see results. And I've actually seen, I saw a Joe Rogan video where he was alluding to the same thing, where he said it's virtually impossible to exercise your way into long-term weight loss. The amount of exercise that would require would pretty much preclude you from doing anything else. So unless you're a professional athlete or you had $100 million like Joe Rogan, you probably don't have the time to spend 10 hours in the gym to maintain your weight. So you have to really approach it from the nutrition standpoint to hold it in check. So one of the things I want to point out, getting to my nutrition, I'm going to hold the camera a little bit lower. You can see I have these camo pants on. And the reason I'm wearing them, it's very humid today and I'd rather have shorts on, but the reason why I'm wearing them for this video is they belong to my son. And my son got them when he was like 17, and I'm wearing them. so I got my weight all the way back down to where I could wear a size 32, 32-ish, some things depending on the cut, 34, but 32 to 34 pants, which for me was a huge accomplishment, because I was really getting to the point where I was wearing 40s, which was just super unhealthy, and I was very unhappy about that. That's the direction I was going in. So I knew I had to get a handle on that. And so after this conversation with this gentleman in the gym, I said, let me just reevaluate what I'm eating. I'm eating a healthy diet. I avoid any processed foods. I avoid sugars, and I ate a healthy diet. I certainly wasn't eating McDonald's or any other fast food, but yet I had gained the weight. And that did reach a point where at one point I was attributing it just to getting older. And that's something I really didn't want to accept, that I was going to just go on this trajectory of getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So I knew I had to throw the brakes on it and really get it in order. So I spoke with a buddy of mine who's been eating a plant-based diet for a while, and he was kind of touting the benefits of living a plant-based life, a whole food plant-based life. And I was pretty receptive to it, and I decided to really get a little bit more involved in researching it. In the past, I did attempt to be a vegan several years ago. It was a little bit too onerous, and my wife wasn't really on board with the diet or with that lifestyle of way of eating, and it made it difficult. So she seemed like she was reaching the point where she was willing to embrace this, perhaps. So her and I together, we embarked on this journey. So I would, when people look at my weight loss, and I've lost about 30 to 35 pounds at this point, still have about another 10, 15 pounds that I'm looking to lose to get down to, the low 170 and 175, which the area where I was in probably in my my early 20s-ish. But that's my objective, to keep myself as light as possible, to sustain my hip replacements as long as possible. So that's kind of where I was at. So I looked at it and I said, all right, well, you have to approach it from three different avenues. First avenue was I decided to go whole food plant-based. Second avenue I decided to cut down my portions and make sure I was eating proper portions, calories in, calories out. If you're taking in more calories than you're exerting, you're going to gain weight. It's just math. It's nothing really more than that. And the final one was intense exercise. So intense exercise could be difficult. Like I said, I've been exercising my whole life, so I'm not advocating someone just jumping in and spending hours on end at the gym. That could just end up creating an injury that would prevent you from exercising in the future. So it's better off to start off slowly but consistently. So based upon those three things: whole food plant-based, second one, portion control, and third one, intense exercise. With those three things in check, I decided to embark on this journey. And that was kind of where I was at. And for the first time in quite a number of years, the weight started to come off. So I found, the combination I had been looking for. I supplement my diet with a couple different vitamins. I take a B12, which is something that you really can't find in plant proteins. I take a calcium. I take a vitamin D. I do take, like I said, I do take some nutrients. I take a fish oil. So I do take some supplements to make sure that I'm getting the proper amount of nutrients from even though I'm not eating rather animal proteins. So to make sure that I'm in check with it. And there's a lot of research out there to substantiate that and guide you along the way. One of the podcasts I listen to weekly is a guy named Rich Roll. Fantastic. He wrote a book, I think it's 10 years old now, the book. It was called Finding Ultra, which had to do with a similar journey that he embarked upon in his early 40s. And so, I checked that out without a doubt. He's fantastic. He's an inspiration. So just looking at my notes, I wasn't much of a processed food eater, but I've pretty much eliminate them completely from my life. I don't eat anything from a can, or I don't eat anything pre-made. These things, there's a reason why they last on the shelf as long as they do. They've been processed to a point where it allows them to remain shelf stable. And those things that make it shelf stable also strip out the nutrients from it, and that's why you tend to gain weight if you eat too much processed food. So do your own research, but I eliminate processed food from my diet. Also, a very important thing is evaluate your diet if you're not getting results. I'm sorry, I keep looking around these birds and squirrels. I keep hearing them. Evaluate your diet if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, and that's very important. I went years on end of exercising and tweaking my diet until I found the right combination. So I looked at it and said to myself, all right, this is the combination that's working for me right now, so let me move forward with building upon it. For one thing that, is a pet peeve of mine is the amount of chicken we consume as a nation. For a nation that eats so much chicken, is supposedly low in fat and healthy, we're the fattest we've ever been. So there's something going on with the chicken. I'm not a scientist, but I don't believe that the amount of chicken that we're consuming, or the quality of chicken that we're consuming in general, is good for us, flat out. I don't think it's as bad as red meat or pork, but it's not good for us because everyone I know eats chicken all the time and everyone's struggling with their weight. So there's something going on with these chickens. Again, do your own research and you'll find out some of the horrific stuff out there with factory farm chickens. But I'm not going to stand on my soapbox and preach against factory farming. Next point I want to bring up is don't give up. Now, if you look at me, okay, I never stopped exercising. I was always searching for that combination. Always searching. It's very easy to give up. If you give up, the results are always, they're always fixed. But as long as you keep trying, if you don't give up, you can eventually find that combination. Look at me. When I tell you flat out, from 2012 to 2021, late 2021, I exercised, I ate right, and I just couldn't lose weight. And then I found a combination that worked for me, and suddenly, I knock off 30 pounds. If I gave up at any point during that, who knows where I would have been? I could be 225 or 250, and I could be looking at a hip replacement in the next few years. I need these hips to last as long as possible. Maybe your situation's not like mine. You don't have a hip replacement or something like that, but you're putting a lot of pressure on your joints. Every pound that you're carrying is more pressure on your joints. Every piece of processed food is adding to heart disease and high cholesterol, which are epidemics in this country. So I take my blood pressure every day. That's another point I want to bring up. I brought my blood pressure down without any medication, down from borderline high blood pressure down to a very healthy blood pressure. Just went for a physical recently. My cholesterol went down 40 points since last year. These are all things that I did without any kind of medication, just diet and exercise. I know it sounds trite, but when I always use the expression, I'm never going to the doctor. If the doctor tells me I got to take something for the rest of my life, I want to know what Plan B is, and that's very important to me. Is that I'm not going to live on a statin or these other medications that people willingly accept and stuff in their body so that they can eat a steak. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I guess maybe it's not that important to me, that eating a steak, but there is a degree of it that just blows my mind. The next point I want to bring out is change your relationship with food. Now, I'm Italian. I come from an Italian family. My family consistently overcooks for any meal, any event where we have. If there's 10 of us there, there's enough food for 30, and I'm not even joking. And I know that, so speaking to some of my friends, the same situation, grew up the same way. That's a big problem. Food should not be a celebration. Yes, you enjoy food, being with your family, but the food itself being the celebration is something that's difficult because you're constantly going to be looking forward to that time. Sorry, my hummingbird feed is dripping, so you're going to see some drops falling down. If the food is the celebration, there's always going to be a problem there. You're always going to kind of think of yourself as being deprived, like you're eating this way Monday to Saturday, and then on Sunday you go to a family function and you gorge yourself on this food that's not good for you. So your relationship with food has to be correct. And that's very important. I think that's at the core of why a lot of people can't keep weight off or can't stick to a healthy diet, is that as a nation we correlate celebrations and rewarding ourselves with food. That's just a national thing that I think that's very common in the United States. Also, the other one is surround yourself with people of like mind. Now, I'm not telling you to change your group of friends. That's, silly. You can't change your friends, you can't change your family. I mean, I guess you could, but, you don't want to. Most people don't want to do that. So if you're not getting the support from those around you, then search online for the people to support you. Like I said, I listen to Joe Rogan. Now he's a complete meat eater, but he makes very good points about the same things I'm bringing up. Rich Roll's a vegan, and he brings up good points about the same thing I'm discussing. So if you're not getting that support from those around you, seek out that support from some good online sources, podcasts. There's a lot of them out there, and these people can act as almost your support network for seeing you through this change. For me, that's what I want to bring out. For me, one of the things is like peer pressure. Peer pressure can work against you, and peer pressure can work for you in a way. Most of my friends are a healthy weight, even those that eat meat and eat different diets. Everyone's pretty thin. So I always feel compelled to make sure, even when I was getting heavy, that I wasn't the fattest one in the group. I didn't want people to go home and say, hey, I saw James, he's as big as a house. I never wanted that. So I did feel that peer pressure to make sure that I wasn't the heaviest one in the group. And that's something, that you may want to think about, maybe, evaluate in your own life. Also, finally, I just want to bring up, I went a little over my 15 minutes. I normally try to keep my videos to. Look at it as a lifestyle. Again, 10-year transformation. You're putting all this work into 10 years to transform your life. You want this to be a lifestyle change. You want this to be the best, most livable way to continue your life, so you're healthy, you're strong, you have the energy to do those things that you like to do. As I'm getting older, I look forward to having grandchildren one day. I look forward to doing these different things, and I want to make sure that I have the energy to really experience the time with them in a very present, genuine way, as opposed to sitting on the couch while they're outside playing. I don't want that to happen. So like I said, I'm going to cut this video off. It's a little bit longer than my 15 minutes. If you are looking to go on this plant-based journey, again, type your name in the comments or your email address in the comments, and I will send you a free box of purple carrot. Get you started on a week and see how plant-based living works for you. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I could tell you what I do. I tend to shop at Whole Foods. Their food is just a higher quality. You have to avoid the factory farmed food as much as possible. I know things have gotten very expensive. Food in particular has gotten very expensive, but I think you have to seek out those nutritional items. I don't think you can just put garbage in yourself because it's cheap. That's a bad move. I go to Walmart sometimes to pick various things up, and I'm horrified what's in people's carts. So I'm going to cut this off. Until next week, this is JD. Have a heart of a lion. Like I said, any comments, any questions, type them in. I'm trying to get some traction with these videos. I actually lost a subscriber after last video. At this point, I don't have many subscribers, and losing one hurt a lot. So that's why I felt like I kind of dialed it in that last video, and maybe that's why I lost the subscribers. So if you like this video, share it with others, like it. Please try. I'm trying to build up as much traction as possible. I've reached the point where I'm almost at the end of my first book that I'm writing. It's a memoir of lessons my mom taught me. It's called Sweet Virginia. I'm going to send it off to the editor and get some revisions, hopefully get that published soon. So I need as much traction as I possibly can, so when I launch it, it can reach as broad an audience as possible. So again, thank you very much for watching these videos. Please share them, please like them, and leave any comments any comments or questions you may have. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.